Hello, OT friends, and welcome to the Uncommon OT series. I'm Patricia and I'm your host, a Filipino-American, native New Yorker, currently based in Los Angeles, bulldog mama, and an uncommon occupational therapist myself for the past 22 years. On this podcast, you will hear me proudly feature the unique careers of occupational therapy practitioners working in non-traditional and role-emerging practice areas, settings where OT is uncommon. I invite you to receive a dose of OT inspiration, to learn, to think outside of the box, and to be energized and motivated to follow in these unconventional paths. Happy listening. Welcome back, OT friends. Today, I am joined by Alison Miller, an OT of 25 years who saw a transition gap that so many of us have probably witnessed, but didn't always know how to address. So she created her company called LaunchPAD, where she helps parents of neurodivergent teens prepare for the next steps after high school. So Alison, I'm so grateful you're here. Let's dive into your story.
Okay.
Your why and the heart behind LaunchPAD. I see your passion already. I'm sure our guests will definitely hear that through the sound waves, because this is exactly the kind of work that our profession, I think, really needs. So please start by telling us a little bit about yourself and maybe some of your favorite occupations.
Okay. So I've been an occupational therapist for about 25 years, graduated from the University of Missouri way back when. And I still love my job, love my career, I should say. I feel like with OT, if you ever get bored as an occupational therapist, that's your own fault, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can be so creative in so many different ways. And that's just my favorite part about it. Some of like my personal favorite things to do are creativity stuff. Like I love painting. I love exploring. I love just connecting with people socially. I would say people are probably my favorite hobby. No matter who they are, I just am very interested in people and learning their stories. And so, just connecting. I love it.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing a little bit about you. Can you share with us now what inspired you or drew you to this type of work?
Yeah. So when I started OT, I worked in the traditional settings of like a hospital. I worked with a lot of brain injury, CVA. I went, we did travel therapy for a little bit, worked on a lot of long-term care, just all over the place. And when I landed back in Fayetteville, I started working in a pediatric clinic, and I had been in OT already for about 10 years and hadn't really worked much in peds yet. And so when I dove all into the pediatric clinic, we were able to start, a group of us went together and started our own clinic. And we treat kids there ages 0 up to technically 21. But, it's kind of weird for like the older teenagers to come into a pediatric clinic where there's a ball pit, swing, and there's a trampoline, like it's so fun when they're younger, but as they get older, they have different occupation.
Yes.
In different things they need to be learning, just as important as like those preschool skills. Like it's just as intense of a learning curve for them. And so I started, looking at these kids and the transition they're going to make and what's the best transition for them. Do they need to go to college? Do they need to just start working? What do they want to do? What are they capable of? And what is their want? What are their parents, what have they prepared them for or not prepared them for? And what's their real potential? And so, that's really where it was born out of.
I love that. And you've shared with me that you love teenagers. Right?
I
That's
do.
got to be a big piece of it too.
Yeah, I just love them. I resonate with them. I have 2 teenage daughters of my own. I have an older son too. He's 26 now. And so, I've done a lot of the teenage stuff, but in the clinic, I'm the teenage person. I just don't get intimidated, I guess. And like, don't take it too personally, any of the teenage angst going on or like I kind of enjoy the drama, like just of them, because I don't have to have it.
Yes.
But all the things, that they do in life. And I think I can see the potential. Like it's such a turning point for the teenage years. They've gone through the puberty stuff. They're getting a grip on that. And this is their turning point in their life. What are they going to do? And
Mm-hmm.
what are they capable of? And what skills do they have? Not just like the educational skills, but what skills do they have to be able to use who they truly are for the world? And like, I
Yeah.
feel like I can kind of pick that out sometimes, or encourage them, not even just tell them what they're going to do, but like ask them the right questions and help them kind of discover that. And that's my
Yes.
favorite part of it.
Sounds like a role that's well suited for an occupational
Yeah,
therapist,
right.
right?
Yeah, we know these things. We have these skills.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, okay. So you've kind of shared with us a little bit how where you began, right? Sort of being in this pediatric clinic and being an entrepreneur already, I think was already probably uncommon 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, we had to learn so much with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So being that, and then here you are, you've launched LaunchPad, which is
Mhm.
um, something kind of different still from what you're describing. So
Yeah.
can you tell us about how you've pivoted from the clinic space to creating LaunchPad, or
Mhm.
if you're still doing both?
Yeah.
Yeah, and a little bit about that path.
Yeah. So I am still doing both. And I love it. Like I work 4 days a week at the clinic, but I have a part administrative role there too. And I love the camaraderie of the clinic. We're not huge. And so we're small enough that, all the OTs I work with, I think that's and OTs, PTs, and speech, honestly, and the office girls, we're just all very close. And so it's a
Hmm.
very like comforting environment. And I've been doing it long enough. It's still very life-giving to me, but it doesn't drain me. So I
Yes.
don't have to it's not hard.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoy that. I also really like a challenge. And when I saw these teenagers, like, what are they going to do with life? Like, where's the support? And so that's where, I kind of dug deep, and I've honestly been thinking about it for years. And I,
Hmm.
I found the opportunity. I'm like, I'm going to keep thinking about this. I'm going to pray about it. Is this something I should start? And you just get those signs one way or the
Yeah.
other. And it was time for me to start it. And
Okay.
so I actually learned from another OT online business. And she really was teaching not how to be an OT, but how to run like an online program and a
Yes.
more almost like a coaching program for parent education, into really how to develop that and structure that. And so I did that, and learned so much from it.
Okay.
And so then I was able to create this. It's a 12-week program, is what I'm using right now, that goes all through like preparing independence, looking for the vision of what the teenager might have, but also what the family has for them. And then we go through and practice a lot of those skills, like all that executive functioning that, it was different in preschool than it was in elementary school, than it was in junior high and high school, and then young
Yes.
adulthood, the executive functioning, a whole different skill set. And
And
so
expectations.
expectations, yes, yeah,
Hmm.
and their independence. Man, they're on their own.
Yeah.
They want to be. A lot of them want to be, and their families want them to be. And so much of that, it can come across as laziness.
Hmm.
They just don't know where to start. They don't know what steps to take. And when we can dig in there and focus on the executive functioning of it, and the step by step, kind of break it down and then take action immediately, then it just keeps leading to more and more action. And yeah, the independence
Yes.
grows.
I love that. So I know you've already shared a little bit of the group or the population that you work with.
Mhm.
Um, can you describe more for us your work, right? Your uncommon
Yeah,
OT work,
yeah,
the setting, and some of the
yeah,
other needs that you're
yeah.
addressing.
Well, let me share the story with one reason, the inspiration behind it. Again, I live the teenage world, teenage life, and with my older son, we were able to do a lot with him when he came to live with us when he was 17, and so I did a lot of this stuff with him. But there's one really specific instance in our clinic of a girl she's so near and dear to my heart. We'll call her Sammy, but she we saw her. She was on the autism spectrum, and saw her for years. Did all the sensory things, did all the things all the way through. We started. I think she was 3 or 4, and went all the way through high school. Scored very high on her ACT. Did graduated with honors, all the chords, everything. Was amazing. Very, very, very smart. Socially, things were always really hard, but we practiced them like crazy in the clinic. We did all these things. Went in the community, did the shopping, did the laundry, made the meals. And she wanted to go to college. She wanted to go to this art school.
Okay.
We get her set up for this art school. And I was kind of a liaison with that, and talked to the school and talked to the family and talked to her, kind of back and forth, and really explained her sensory needs and her learning style and all the things. And we got her in. It was so exciting because she was in, and our whole clinic kind of came together as a community and set up her dorm room. We set up, made sure she had the camera. She was at art school. Like, it was really great support seeing everybody come together for that. And so she went, she loved it, had a great experience the first half of the semester. She created something amazing, was in this big parade. And so it was going really well for the first half. Then things got hard, and things get, we go through this. We go through this not only just in college semesters, but like in life, things get hard, and ups and downs. And, they would start calling. She would call me panicking, and I would talk her through it. Like, how do you calm down? Like, let's figure all these things out. What do you need to do to take the next step? Her family, we had a very good relationship with her family. They called me, and we would talk through it. She also was first generation college. And so it was hard for her family to really understand the depth of, if you just push through, you're going to be good. Like, let's go. And so really talking with them, and they're amazing people, very, very kind and loving people. So it went on for a while, and she would do good. And then we would have the, back and forth. Well, after probably the 4th, maybe or 5th time of this happening, she called her family, and just in a panic, and her brother called me very early one morning and said, "We're just going to go pick her up. She's done." And it was just heartbreaking to see it was kind of like the disconnect between what the family really thought she could be capable of, and how they've kind of sheltered her entire life. And then maybe what her true possibility was. And so it was kind of heartbreaking for all of us to realize, she was prepared. She could do these skills. She could do them in the controlled environment we were doing them in. She could do them with me, but her family never pushed her to do these at home. Her family wasn't really sure what she was capable of. And they were still at home making her meals, and even like doing her laundry and helping her pick out her clothes as like an 18-year-old. Even though she's like capable, but that's how they gave their love. Instead of like a scaffolding kind of support, they just rescued everything. And so I really, one reason this program is really built is to really help transition those parents from like a constant rescue and a constant, like, we're going to take care of this for you because we always have, because you have special needs, or, you think differently. And we can just fix this real quick, to transitioning to more of a scaffolding. Like, you got to let them suffer just a little bit. Struggle is a kind of support, right? Like, letting them struggle in a safe environment is a support. And so, that's what I talk about a lot in my program. And it's so funny that this girl that I'm talking about, literally right before, so she did come back, and she's been back a couple of years now, and she's now working at like it was some kind of factory for like wrapping paper factory or something. Anyway, we still keep in contact, and she texted me right before that, like literally 15 minutes before this. I got a text from her that said, "Hey, how do I do financial planning for my future? I want to be able to retire comfortably one day." And I'm like,
nice.
I love it that she's thinking these things. So I feel like we've at least planted the seed, back then. But that's something that I'm like, they're capable of so much more. And so if we can get the whole family on board, and to understand, after the occupational therapy is done, after the clinic stuff is done, after the school, give them the right support and the right push.
Yeah. Well, thanks for painting that picture for us, and kind of giving us a mini case study of how your services, and again, it was about what needs you were addressing, right? And I think that case study kind of
gave us a really clear picture of the
Yeah.
phases and, how you work with this particular person.
Yeah, she was the
Um,
inspiration for sure.
yeah, incredible. Is there anything else that you can share about, a typical OT session that you might have
Yeah, yeah.
um, with this
So
person or another?
yeah, and that, I did all that stuff with her actually in our clinic, and that was kind of just the inspiration to start a program like this. And so
Mm-hmm.
I can talk about one of my first clients that I had actually in the LaunchPAD program. It was a mom who'd contacted me, and her son was a senior in high school and very intelligent, um, had some things going like low tone and think I can't remember the exact diagnosis, but also autism on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, they were a really great family also, but they were like the ideal client for me. They were just ready to soak it up. And when she contacted me, she goes, I've given him all these support for all these years. He's always gone to therapy. We live in, a smaller town in Texas where everybody knows him. He's like the mayor, everybody knows him at school, at church, in town. And he's real comfortable here. Everybody knows he's quirky, but he wants to go to college. He wants to move away and go to college. And that quirkiness of like these funny questions and these funny social comments or whatever is going to be weird at first.
Yes, may
It's
not
not
be
gonna,
tolerated.
yeah, it's not going to be a good first impression. And she goes, and it's just like he was about to turn 18, but she kept talking about the immaturity behind it and how, she's like, I think he can do more, but he's just not doing it. And how do I push him? And she was like, I also don't know how we got here. Like, I feel like I've given him support all these years, and now he's about to move out next year and he's not doing his laundry. He's not getting up on his own. He's not, I don't know, making meals and all the things. And so I was like, let's go, let's do this. So it was perfect
Mm-hmm.
program. So yeah, in the beginning of it, we prepared the independents. I really asked them, I have them fill out questionnaires, the parent and the teenager together.
Mm-hmm. So you
Um,
meet with them together.
yeah, the program is really tailored to speak toward parents, but so much of the stuff you want to give the teenager a voice too. And
Yes.
so with
So this is in an online space, right?
yes,
You're on Zoom with the
yes,
parent and
mhm,
the family, basically.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a 12-week program, and I have 12 weeks of modules recorded, like teaching modules.
Mm-hmm.
And they go through, kind of the three phases of preparing independence, practicing practicing the skills and making strategies for that. And then the last 4 weeks, we talk about a direction for the future and really getting a good plan together for, whatever their plan is. I don't tell them if they need to go to college or whatever, but whatever they decide, then we look at that and get the plan for the future.
Got
And
it.
so, yeah, and so they watch the module, and then we meet once a week for an hour,
Okay.
um, and we talk through all the things. After they watch the module, also they have 2 to 3 weekly activities, and those are
Okay.
really,
Homework.
really, yeah, homework, but really practical activities they have to do together. So in the beginning, we start out with like, I really want to get to know them. I want to know what their vision for independence is, and then the parents' vision is maybe different than the kids. Maybe the parent
Mm-hmm.
thinks they're never going to be able to move out of the house, or they're never going to be able to move away. And they haven't really dug in there and find out what their teenager wants to do. What did maybe
Yeah.
they don't want to live with their parents the rest of their life. And how can we make that happen? And then I also try to do a lot of education with parents on executive functioning and on
Mm-hmm.
kind of, scaffolding support rather than rescuing. We dig into what does life look like at home right now?
Mm-hmm.
How independent are they at home right now? And then, what kind of steps can they take to maximize that first of all? But then we're going to start taking that into the future. We dig into health and safety and self-care. So like in medication management, maybe
Mm-hmm.
these kids take some kind of meds. And so are they able to do that on their own, or is their parents still making sure they take it on time every day and, all the things? What does hygiene, look like? Hygiene
Yeah.
all over again. That's just, core of the OT stuff. But, how does that look like in public? Maybe they have a different hygiene around their close family, but like when they're out in public, we got to, tighten it up a little. Um,
Yes.
and then we really practice the skills. So like, some of the communication and adult social skills. They have some things like where they have to go practice, having a conversation with someone new, maybe at a store or on the phone. I have them send me an email and I kind of critique the email because these are skills. And it's not just the neurodiverse population. There's a lot of people just leaving out punctuation and capitals and things.
Yes.
And that's okay in an environment. But if you're trying to make your first impression to an employer or someone's a scholarship or whatever, we got to figure out how to do this more professionally. So I look at some of that stuff. We do a mock interview with the kid. And that's always a treat because, the first kiddo he was like holding his phone like under his chin. I was looking up his nose and I'm like, okay, here's the deal. You could actually be doing this with an employer. Like a lot of interviews are done on Zoom and I'm looking up your nose right now. So let's think about all of this. And so those are really helpful and good. And I also do a self-advocacy piece. Like I want these kids to start understanding they can say they're neurodiverse. They can say they have dyslexia. They can say they have attention issues. They have sensory issues. And and you can say it in a way that's respectful and kind of like, hey, I can do this job great if you can make sure the fluorescent lights aren't beaming down on me constantly.
Yes.
Or if that buzzing sound in the next room, if I could work in a different room, I can kill it. Like this could be amazing. And so I want them to have, not to be their identity, but I do want them to own it as far as it's a part of them. And let's figure out how to stay with that. It's like the same as somebody being short or tall. Like, give me some accommodations if I'm going to do this job for you.
Yes.
I think we do that all day long. And I want it to become more of a norm with the neurodiversity population.
Yeah.
And also because I want them to use their skills. Like these are the world changers out there.
Yes.
Like it's crazy. I was actually looking that up this morning, just like all the famous people that can be considered with neurodiversity. And, they're like tons of our actors. Albert Einstein probably was, they were saying. Billie Eilish, Simone Biles is ADHD. Like these people, when they can channel it, they do amazing things.
Yes, absolutely.
Music comes from and our art. And so anyway, I just love to dig down in there. We also do like some money management and budgeting basics and not super intense, but I have them, think about how much it's going to cost for them to live out on their own one day. And we do there's a whole questionnaire, a tool I've provided that, how much do you think it cost? All your snacks cost? How much do you think your meals cost? How much do you think your electricity cost? And then they have to go actually buy those things and compare.
Yes.
Reality
check.
Reality. Yeah. Yeah. And along with that, one of the practical things is too, so many of these kids don't have like a checking account or savings account or whatever yet. And so they have to go set that up. That was one thing I did with the first guy I was talking about. He had never used a debit card. And so we, that was their assignment for the week. Go to the bank, get him a checking account, make sure you still have parental controls, for now. And he has to use this debit card 3 times this week. And he has to use
I love that.
Like sit outside the Walgreens or the gas station or wherever you're at, let them run in. You can see them through the window. It's safe enough. And make them do this on their own, make them struggle through it a little bit. It might be awkward for them, but they have to be able to do it each time.
That's great practical experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. The last 4 weeks, we've got all this basic stuff done. We've talked about executive functioning. We've talked about social skills. Then we start talking about like a direction for the future. So, what is the right, whether it be occupation, whether it be, it's all occupation, but like, is the right occupation to start working? Is it to get a training certificate? Is it to go to college? And so we kind of figure some of that out. I have I references to other like career inventories and things that are helpful that they can look at. And then, but we also talk about like emotional regulation and tools to manage stress when you get in that secondary life, whether it is secondary education or a career or wherever you're at, you don't have those. You might be out of that comfort of that small town or that small home environment, or, the people that always know you. You're out of your bubble, basically, no matter where you're at.
Yes.
And so how can you be in charge of your own emotional regulation? And then we talk about like housing and transportation, the right options there, and a right adult living, what you need, supported living. Can they live on their own independently, and what are needed? And that was an interesting one too with this guy. The first guy I was talking about, his plan was to go to college. He was going to move away, go to college. And we had them, they went and visited it. And for financial and other reasons, they decided he was going to stay at home for the next 2 years. Well, we had already talked about like how to get along with a roommate and, kind of the agreement there. And I have these tools set up for just the initial conversations with a roommate, because there's all that. But we tailored that to, if you're going to live at home now, but you're 18, now you're a roommate in your own home.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the expectations your parents have of you? What are the expectations, that an 18-year-old needs to have helping out around the house? If you cook those eggs, you got to clean up that pan now. Or you do your own laundry, and so that was very freeing also for the family. They loved that, because they're like, yeah, we want to give him that respect, but we don't really know. He's been our kid this whole time.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
The transition. And, if he wants to have friends over, he would have to talk to a roommate in an apartment about that. So you got to talk to your parents too, let them know.
Yes. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And at the very end, we just create like a 6 to 12 month transition plan of like actionable steps. Like, here you go. Here's your plan for the next 6 to 12 months. And you've got this. Like, they've got it by then.
Okay. And how often do you follow up with the parents and the child at that point?
Through
or young adult?
Through the 12 weeks, we meet every Monday night. And then I do individual, like, kind of check-in meetings a couple of times. And then afterwards, I mean, they're not technically in the program anymore, but just because of, the OT, I think a lot of us want to do this. We want to know where they went, what they do. I check in with them. It's been very organic. It's been so nice, but I'll send them an email every once in a while. But she, the mom, after that first program, I was just watching TV one night, hanging out, and I got a text of he'd made a whole dinner for the entire family.
Wow. That's
so
wonderful.
Yeah. And it just tickled me. I was like, this is exactly, she didn't even know he was capable of that. And that was the first time he'd ever done it. And I'm like, it's so good. This is why OT is so important. We're just
amazing.
The ones who can figure that out for them and help them get them there.
So can you share with us a little bit about how you get paid for this service?
Yeah. So this, with this program, it's technically an OT coaching program. So I'm not billing insurance, and I'm really doing parent and family education. And so it's all private pay. They can choose to pay it once in the beginning, or they can choose to pay it, monthly. But it's a program fee right now.
Yes.
And it's been suggested to me, and I may do more of this, but to add some kind of a la carte kind of things onto it. I want to make sure I can do it well if I'm going to do it. So I haven't quite added those just yet. I want to make sure I have the time for it. But I think there's a big piece of OT consulting. After we've been doing it for a while, we've got a lot of things we can talk about and share with people. And so I've had a lot of people reach out with that. And so I think I may add that service.
Okay, excellent. And that's a great segue to my next question, which is, if our listeners were interested in reaching out and, to sort of ask you about your path, would that be okay? And what would
gosh, I would love it. I love talking to students. Again, I love my career. And so I'm like, yes, you should do this. And let me tell you how you could use yourself and love it. So yeah, emailing me is the best way probably. And it's at LaunchPadTeenCoach@gmail.com. And I have an Instagram too, which is LaunchPadParentTeen.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And let's wrap up with any career advice that you might have for anyone who wants to work with this population to set up some kind of entrepreneurial kind of setup like you have.
Yeah. Well, I first of all, do it. Go for it. Like take the step, start just researching and try it. I think you'll be surprised with the problem solving skills we have as OTs. And if you
Yeah.
get into OT school, you've already gotten those, you have those problem solving skills. And so just use those to problem solve through all the things. And that's really what I've done. You ask people to connect, talk to people. Like that's been one of my favorite things is I'm on LinkedIn also. And that's how I found you, right? Like
Yes.
this girl, I know that we could talk about stuff. And so I've gotten a lot of really good information from connecting with people all over the country. And then use those little pieces of advice and go to that next step and just see where it takes you.
Oh, that's great advice.
Yeah.
Throughout our conversation or throughout your reporting of the different sort of things that you did with your clients, I was jotting down like patient education,
Yeah.
advocacy,
Mhm.
really coaching, goal setting, right?
Yeah.
Helping them coming up with treatment plans and it started with a little needs assessment in the beginning. So, these are all core OT skills that we all already have. So it's just
Right.
taking the next step and refining it further.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so fun. Like it's honestly so fun for me. I feel like this is the core. This is the most OT I've ever been. Like
Amazing.
I get to share like all that stuff that I just want to, and it's so life-giving to be able to use that knowledge that has come from different parts of my personal life, but also parts of my professional life for years. And I just get on there and we talk about it. We figure it out.
Ah, I love it. So, Allison, thank you so much for this conversation. I
Oh,
really love how your work reminds us that occupational therapy doesn't end when pediatric services stop, right?
right.
It evolves.
Mhm.
And supporting teens and families during this transition isn't just about executive functioning or job readiness. You gave us such great examples of life and
Yeah.
how it
Right.
progresses at that point. It's about identity, having confidence, and really helping young people see what's possible.
Mhm.
So, to everyone who's listening, if this episode resonated with you at all, share it with a colleague, share it with a parent or an OT who's thinking about stepping into transition-based work. And if you're feeling that nudge towards doing OT differently, then this
Right.
is your reminder
Mhm.
that there is space for you out
Yep.
here, right?
Yep. 100%. Oh, 100%. Yes.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Uncommon OT series. Connect with me at www.transitionsot.com. And don't forget to sign up to be part of the Transitions OT community. By doing so, you'll receive my latest compiled list of uncommon OT practice settings, the latest news on mentoring offerings, uncommon OT live events, non-traditional OT resources, and more. You may also follow me on my social media pages on Instagram and LinkedIn. And if you love this episode, head on over to Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts to follow, rate, and leave a review. I also ask you to consider pledging your support to my Passion Podcast project by being a patron on Patreon. It is very much appreciated. Sending big OT love. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.